Welcome to North Star Credit Union's Financial Compass podcast, guiding you towards financial wellness. Hometown values, lifelong relationships, worldwide access.
All right. Hello, everyone. You know what day it is. It's Friday. It's the best day of the week because you get another episode of the North Star Credit Union podcast, your financial compass. Good morning, everyone. You know me by now. I'm Drew, one of the voices here of the podcast, joined by Melissa, who you also know. We're missing Jesse today, unfortunately, so you will notice that. But we have a special guest today, another guest on the podcast. I think our third guest by now. This is our 9th episode, third guest, but one of our best guests here, Christie Canewell. She is an incredible member of our staff here, does many things. She's kind of the queen of chaos control and the face of our billboards, also known as our regional branch manager for our Cook and Mountain Iron branches. So, Christie, welcome to the podcast today.
Well, thanks. I'm excited to join you guys. I've listened to a number, and I love your interaction and kind of feel excited to be part of that today.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Our topic today, Christie, is a great one to have regarding this topic. We're talking about, and again, we're just hoping to be short and sweet today, give you a little information, but topic today is preparing your accounts. And I think this is a helpful one for our listeners and our viewers. I think there's a lot of confusion around this. So we bring in Christie, who clarifies all confusion. Preparing your accounts, especially like preparing for, what happens if you die, and how can you make sure that your money is going where you want it, into the hands you want it to go into, to avoid headache, after, so that you can prepare in the best way possible. And so Christie has a lot of those great answers. So we'll have a few questions for her today around the topic of just preparing your accounts for your loved ones. Do you have a good question for us to get us started, Melissa, for Christie?
Yeah, just the general question is, how can they set up their accounts so they can assure that their funds are going to somebody that they want it to, and it could potentially not have to go through the probate process, and just getting started on what that looks like.
Yeah, it makes sense. And, there are a few different ways to do it, so I'm not looking to complicate things. I mean, the best thing to do is to make sure you have a beneficiary listed on your account. A beneficiary, or sometimes they call it a POD, payable on death, that where are your funds going to go, when you pass away. Excuse me. A great thing to do would be to check with your financial, because there are a few different things set up at different types of financials. Like we're a credit union, you have a bank. So some things to note is if you have a joint owner on your account, most often that joint owner is going to then be the recipient of those funds, or still be able to function in some level on that account. But even if you have a joint owner, but especially if you don't have a joint owner, making sure that you list a beneficiary on your account is going to make a huge difference for your loved ones afterwards. That beneficiary could be a single person, it can be more than one person, it can even be a minor. Thinking about that minor is going to be the person who has custody, guardianship, who's the legal guardian, would then in turn have access to those funds in their name. But there's not really a limit on who you can put as a beneficiary on your account. You can also look at putting contingent beneficiaries, something to think about. If you had one beneficiary, but if that person were to pass away before you, or at the same time, or there's many different things that could happen in life, you could have that contingent beneficiary or multiple contingents listed.
Yeah, so two good terms there that we use, like a joint owner or a beneficiary. So what are the difference between those two, Christie?
Yeah. So a joint owner is someone who is joint on that account and then would still have the right to do transactions on that account after the primary owner passed away. With our credit union, our membership share is attached to your Social Security number. So that would mean that at some point the joint owner would have to open an account in their own Social Security number, because you can't function on a deceased person's social for an extended period of time. For us, it's within 6 months. We'd want you to open a new account. We have a way to help you walk through that quite smoothly, kind of help you move everything over into an account under your name, even keep the history, keep all of, the transactions that have been there previously. But the joint owner could still function on the account. As a beneficiary, you're entitled to the funds. So you wouldn't be able to continue to do transactions on the account. Then those funds would be issued out to you, and then you would have to take that elsewhere if you had further transactions to do, which, we could hop into that when you're ready, but what to do if you have bills and, paperwork left to handle.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I do have a quick question. So if you have an account with the joint ownership and a beneficiary that's someone different, then how does that process work? Oh, yay, Jesse's.
Surprise, everyone! We have at least like a black screen, but it looks like Jessie may have just joined us.
We could hear her voice.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Jessie?
Excuse me.
We can see that you've joined, but we got no audio, no video. But nice of you to join us, Jessie. Oh, there she is.
Yay. Good morning.
Morning. So
yes.
I couldn't get into my Microsoft, and then it was like, text your phone for the verification. So I did, and my phone wasn't receiving anything. So I put it in airplane mode, put it back. I'm like, okay. I like, shut off my phone, turn it back on. 6 different Microsoft codes come through. I'm like, oh, that was the problem. Anyway, so sorry, Christine. I know that you're very super busy, and so I was trying so hard. I'm like,
these things happen. We're okay. We're just fine.
all right, good.
Yeah, we're
Drew
good.
introduced me as like the chaos coordinator. I might be the chaos bringer. But then we can coordinate it once it's all here. So it
Yeah,
works fine.
for sure.
What? Oh, too funny.
Yeah.
Just before you joined, I had asked Christie if there was an owner on an account and also a beneficiary and a joint owner, and the primary account holder passed away. Then what happens then?
Good question.
Perfect.
Yeah, great question. So yeah, the joint owner kind of becomes that primary beneficiary in some ways. They're a joint owner, so they already have the rights to that fund or to that account. And, often when you have a joint owner, even some of those funds that are already in the account belong to that person. It might be their direct deposit. They are also doing transactions on that account. But even if they're not, that joint owner is the one who's that first beneficiary. So in turn, if you have a joint owner, your beneficiary kind of becomes your contingent beneficiary, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So both joint owners, or if you had 3 or 4 joint owners, all of those people would have to pass away before the beneficiary would be entitled to the funds.
Okay. That makes sense.
Well, I was going to say the other thing that might come into this is and who has rights to the funds. Something that comes up periodically is, my parents had a will. I was listed in the will as the executor of that estate, or they might have a trust, and these are the trustees on the account or on the trust. Excuse me. But if the trust or the will is not listed as the beneficiary, we have to take who is listed as the beneficiary. So something to think about for the loved ones afterwards, but also for you to think about ahead of time. If you set up a trust for your family, you need to make sure and get your financial accounts and everything else, your life insurance, everything else needs to get into that trust. So you need to make your trust your beneficiary.
That's good to know. I hope everyone heard that. If you're watching or listening, if you have a will, that's great. Please do that. But you should make sure it matches what you have with your financial, or who's the beneficiary on your accounts, because that's what we go by. Right, Christy?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing that we run into that I was like begging Christy to to talk about was when somebody does pass away and you want to send the family a check to help with expenses. Somebody told me that funeral homes should tell you, but a lot of people just kind of just think you can write it out to the family of. What is the actual way to write out a check for someone who is in bereavement?
Yes, right. Yeah, and it is hard. And I think a lot of us wouldn't think, to ask the funeral home either. So they might give that information out, but mostly the family might be communicating with the funeral home versus those of us attending the service. So, it does become a bit difficult because after someone has passed away, we're not supposed to accept checks and transactions on those accounts. it's also protection for the family and for that person, in or out some of those transactions. So we really should be making the check out to the beneficiaries. That's kind of hard at times because how do we know who the beneficiary is?
Yeah.
Sometimes if they have a spouse, it becomes a little easier to just have an idea that it would probably go to them, and then they could, move those funds where they need to. So you could make the check out directly to that family member. Otherwise, it can be a little counterintuitive, but you can make the check out to cash. And I would put in the memo line, for the family of, and put that person in there. It makes it easier for them, afterwards, to be able to, access those funds and do what they need to. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard to, when you're in the moment but I think the more education we can put out there for that, because most financial institutions will be like, oh, we can't do that, and then you feel terrible,
Yeah, and is it fair to say this, like for people who are, so I'm writing a check out to a family of a loved one, in general, you should always try to write the check out, to the person's name that's on the account, because that's what we look at it. It usually has to match. So if it doesn't match, that can be problematic. So we just want you to avoid that headache. Yeah. Is that right, Christy? I mean, is that kind of
Correct.
At the crux of it? Try to write the check out to either cash, like Christy said, or to the name of the person on the account.
And if you don't know the name of the person on the account and you don't feel comfortable writing cash, leave it blank and just write in the memo, who is.
Sorry.
And be careful because the blank check
Yeah.
can go to anybody.
Oh, okay, maybe not. You might have to cross that out.
In an envelope to the family.
Never mind, Melissa, cut that out.
Well, it is something that's hard to think about because, a lot of times too, it's, there's many people in this family. How am I going to know who the beneficiary is? And it does make it a little tough. In a place in a society we're trying to get away from cash, cash still can be much easier in a situation like this, especially for a family who has a lot going on. They're trying to wrap a lot of things up or do things. Cash is okay in those circumstances.
That's helpful.
But otherwise, yeah, the check is not a bad idea, just trying to find out who you write it to. If it is made out to the family of, which does happen a lot, at times they're going to be asked to open an estate account for that family member. This might be jumping us ahead a little bit, so you can let me know, but I'll just kind of pop in. What do you do if there is no beneficiary on the account? What do you do if there isn't a joint owner? What happens to that account?
Yes, good.
So in that case, really all the funds go to the estate of the person who passed away. So who's in charge of that estate? That's the other question. So they might not have listed anybody on the account, but there could still be a will out there somewhere. So if that will is there, then the family or whoever's the executor of that will could bring that will in along with the death certificate. They become the executor of that estate. They still aren't going to be able to function on that account, so they're going to need to open an estate account. So we're going to pin that for a moment. We'll come back to it. If they don't have a will out there somewhere, this now goes through probate, and the courts have to get involved. So, it could take a while. It depends on the size of your estate to be able to know which direction that path is going to take through the courts.
Yeah, which can we say, in general, you probably want to try to avoid? I think that's hopefully one of our hopes for this podcast is, if you can do these preparations, it's going to avoid, a process of going through probate or delaying things that can just be maybe more than you want, especially at that time.
And you've spent go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I think the first time that I heard that the beneficiary would almost trump the will, that was a surprise to me. I didn't realize that was the case. So it was really good information to understand, and I don't know that everybody knows that.
Yeah.
No, because you think you put this will together, and a lot of times you have an attorney involved. You have someone, it would seem like that would override writing a beneficiary on your account. However, for the financial, we don't know all the stuff that you have going on, all the things that you've put in place outside of the financial, and you directed that to us to say, this is the person that I want to be the beneficiary of the account. So again, if you put together a will after you've listed beneficiaries on your account, you can come back in and put, who that is on there. Also in a will, sometimes, maybe one person is listed, but then they have the responsibility of distributing those, whether it might be property or assets or funds, out to the rest of whoever you direct those to go to, maybe you just list that one person as the beneficiary on the account. Same with your trust. Your trustees, they're the ones who, that doesn't mean they're entitled to everything that's there. They're trying to carry out the wishes that you've laid out ahead of time. Which comes back to the probate piece, or the court piece. You've spent your entire life earning these funds, putting your life together. It'd be really nice if you get to say and have some direction in what happens afterwards. So by putting this in place, then we can kind of carry out what you had intended for that, versus the court trying to determine that, going through what they need to. Yeah, it makes it easier for everyone.
Perfect. That's such good information. Do we want to just recap today? Was there any other questions that we had? Otherwise, I think just like a brief summary might be helpful. Again, just like if people have listened and trying to take this all in, we could just highlight the key points for our listeners or viewers today.
I don't know if I could put a couple more things that might be separate, but a couple more things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
absolutely.
We have time.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
One thing would be a power of attorney. This comes up quite a bit when someone has passed away. You might have had power of attorney for your father, your mother, somebody in your life. One thing to know is that when that person passes away, that power of attorney is terminated. So if you're not listed as a beneficiary, if you're not listed as a joint owner, you will have no more rights to that account or to do anything, pay their bills, to do what you need to afterwards. So something to consider if you've put someone in place as a power of attorney in your life, whether for, health care means or financial, any of those things, just note that ceases once you pass away. So think about that. The other thing might be, when we talk about trusts, we have some people who have gone ahead and put a trust in place so that it makes it easier afterwards. And they might even put their account in a trust right now. So like I could have an account that says the living trust of Christine Kindwell. If that trust is under my social security number, that trust account would still have to be reopened after I pass away. But if the trust is under an EIN number, a tax ID number, then in turn, whoever my trustees are after me on my trust, they can just function on that same account. We will go through the trust paperwork. Who the next trustee is would have access to that account. I'm not sure if that's too much information for today.
That's great.
But something to think about. And then the same thing with an estate account. So whether people did not, plan ahead and have a beneficiary, now you've gone through court, or we have all those checks that are made out to the family of, along with a number of, bills and things that still need to be paid. Just because you passed away doesn't mean your transactions and everything are finished. So if your family members need to continue doing some of those transactions for you, maybe for your property, for all different things, if they need to open an estate account, they'd also be looking at getting an EIN number, a tax ID number. So your financial can kind of give you some direction in that.
Yeah.
We can't do it for you, but we'd be happy. It's a lot to remember. You can call us and we can kind of try to walk you through that process.
Well, and I don't think it's an easy conversation to have sometimes with your loved ones to prepare for it. But it's, I think, good to have those conversations if you can
Yeah.
with your family
Being
and
prepared.
loved ones.
Yeah. I think this is something that everybody's going to encounter in their life. You're going to be in this situation where you're having to handle these things or deal with these, situations that we're talking about. So we're hoping that this is helpful to you. I think if anything, if you don't remember any of this, just please call us. We'll be happy to help you. We do it all the time, walking people through these sorts of situations. So, give us a call and we'd be happy to help you.
Definitely.
One last thing too to note, you should check in with your financial, what options they have for you, what coverage they might have. I know we're coming back to episode 1 and episode 2, but we're talking about, credit unions and the difference of credit unions. I know for us at North Star, we offer out accidental death and dismemberment insurance as well as life insurance through TrueStage. But the thing to note is we have a $2,000 policy available to all of our members at no cost. But you do have to sign up for it. There are limitations on that policy because it would be accidental death or dismemberment, so it doesn't cover everything. But again, one more way that you could help your family out, that $2,000 can make a difference. And then, if you wanted to look at, higher policies or including just life insurance, those are things that we at North Star offer, but your financial might also offer something that's available to you. So when you ask those questions about call in, check on your account. Do I have a beneficiary listed? What is this set up? What does this look like at your financial? Ask those additional questions. Do you have any other services that are offered to us as members or customers?
Yeah, great information that I think every day you don't think about those things. But North Star, we've experienced some loss, and we thought we would turn that into an educational to help others.
Yeah. We've covered quite a bit today. Hopefully this is helpful to you. Just a little bit of work in preparing can save you a lot of headaches down the line. So yeah, think about these things like whether you have a joint owner in your account would be kind of a primary beneficiary, or if you even have a beneficiary. Hopefully this is helpful to you. But yeah, just give your account some time just to make sure you have things set up properly and everything ready for the future. Yes. But with that, thank you, Christie, for joining us. You're a wonderful guest. Again, I think I could go on and on about, how I feel about you, how incredible you are. I know for me, like, if I'm in a situation where I don't really know the answer, it's Christie.
I know. I even did that yesterday. I'm like, not even thinking that I have the answer at my, but it's like, you just do that. Christie, you're wonderful.
I'll speak for myself, but I don't think I'm the only one, Jesse. I think a lot of us are. Christie is the holder of all answers, and I'm sure people notice that today with her vast knowledge and experience. She's incredible.
Wow.
So.
I appreciate that. I love education, and that's part of our credit union, one of our core values. So that's one of my favorite parts of the job, sharing that information with everyone else.
Awesome.
And we do have the information that she was talking about for the insurance on our website as well. But feel free, like she said, to call any one of us.
Well, thanks, guys. This was fun.
Yeah.
And glad we got all four
Yeah,
of us.
sorry for the
Yes.
delay.
No. Made it happen. Pack that cooler and have a good weekend, everybody.
Yes. Take care. Bye.
All right. We'll see you.
Bye.
Tune in Fridays for new episodes on Spotify, YouTube, and coming soon to Apple. Or find the link on our website, northstarcreditunion.org.